If you asked anyone who knew us, they'd have said David and I were the steady kind of couple, quiet, loyal, the type who made it look easy. But lately something had changed. Not suddenly, but like a slow leak you don't notice until life feels small lately, David said one night, his fork scraping against his untouched plate, like I'm on autopilot. At first, I laughed softly. That's adulthood, babe. Work bills, Netflix, repeat. But his eyes didn't join the smile. Maybe I need to breathe a little. I thought he meant a walk a weekend away. I didn't realize he meant without me. We'd been together for 3 years. I wasn't perfect. I could be stubborn, protective, maybe too patient for my own good, but I believed we were solid. We'd planned to move into a bigger apartment soon. We even looked at dogs online together. That night, though, something about the air around us felt wrong. He was miles away in his own head, and no amount of small talk could reach him. A week later, he said it. We were eating dinner. Chicken stir-fry, his favorite. He pushed his plate aside, eyes steady, but rehearsed like he'd practiced this speech in his mirror. Can we talk about something without you getting defensive? My stomach sank. That sentence never led anywhere good. Sure, I said carefully. I think I need some space, he said. Not forever, just for a little while. I want to figure myself out. Things have felt off lately. Off how? I don't know. I feel like I'm losing who I am. Everything's about work bills us. I don't want to start resenting you. The word resenting hit me like ice water. Still, I stayed calm. So, you want a break? Not a break, he said quickly. Just time to think. I'm not trying to see anyone else. I just need to breathe. He couldn't even look me in the eyes when he said it. That told me everything. David, I said quietly, if you need space, take it. Just be honest about what kind of space you're asking for. His jaw tightened. Why do you always have to make it sound like an interrogation? This isn't about you. It's about me. That line. This isn't about you lodged in my chest like a stone. Because of course it was about me. It was about us. But I didn't argue. I just nodded. Okay, take the time you need. He blinked confused. That's it. Yeah, you can't force someone to stay if they don't want to. He expected tears, maybe begging, maybe anger, but all he got was silence. The next morning, he packed a small duffel bag, said he'd be staying with a friend for a few days. No kiss, no hug, just a quiet, I'll text you soon. I stood by the window and watched his car disappear into the fog. The moment the door shut, the apartment felt different, lighter, but empty. For a few days, I tried to do what he asked. I didn't text, I didn't call. I went to work, came home, cooked dinner for one. The quiet was strange, but not unbearable. I told myself if the space helps him figure things out, it'll be worth it. But space has a funny way of revealing more than it heals. David still viewed my Instagram stories always within minutes of posting, but he never messaged. He posted photos from nights out, blurry group shots, one corner of the frame always cropped. I wasn't stupid. I knew what that meant. He wanted to be seen, but not questioned. A week passed, then two. I stopped checking my phone as much. I started sleeping better, even smiling at small things again. The way morning light hit my kitchen tiles, the sound of rain on the window. Peace felt foreign, but I didn't hate it. Still, there was a heaviness in my chest, the kind that comes from knowing the truth, but pretending you don't. The truth was simple. When someone says they need space, they're not asking to fix things. They're asking permission to test what life feels like without you. And deep down, I already knew David was testing it. It was a Tuesday night when it happened. I'd gone to bed early, exhausted from work. Around 2:07 a.m., my phone lit up on the nightstand. The screen glowed through the dark like a warning. I ignored it at first, rolled over, tried to sleep, but something inside me whispered, check it. I reached for the phone, squinting at the preview. One message. From David. You don't need to know who I'm with. We're on a break. I stared at the words, my mind utterly still. Not racing, not yet. Just still. No guilt, no apology, just a sentence soaked in cruelty. He wanted me to feel small, disposable. And for the first time in weeks, I didn't feel confusion. I felt clarity. I read it again slower. You don't need to know who I'm with. That wasn't a confession. That was an ending. Something inside me shifted like a switch finally flipped. The version of me who waited, rationalized, hoped. She died in that moment. I didn't reply. I didn't cry. I just turned off the phone and set it face down. Then I stood up, walked into the bathroom, and looked at myself in the mirror. My reflection looked calm, almost detached. I whispered to myself, you're done, Hazel. You're really done. No anger, no heartbreak, just finality. That night, I realized something no one ever tells you about love. Sometimes the moment you're supposed to break apart is the exact moment you finally become whole again. The next morning, I made coffee, packed the rest of his things, shirts, cologne, books, into neat boxes. No drama, no notes of rage, just a single message left on the counter. Take care of yourself. When he came back to collect his things, he'd find nothing left of me in that apartment except silence. As the door clicked shut behind me, I didn't look back. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't want to. When morning came, I didn't cry. I just stood in my empty kitchen, sunlight slipping through the blinds, the smell of coffee filling the air, and I felt light. Not happy, not sad, just hollow in a way that didn't hurt anymore. I texted my best friend Maya and asked if her spare room offer was still open. Absolutely, she replied instantly. Come by whenever you're ready. I didn't even tell her the details. I didn't have to. The tone in my text said enough. By noon, I had packed my clothes, some dishes, and a few framed photos that didn't sting to look at. Everything else could stay. When I closed the door behind me, I half expected to feel grief, but all I felt was the quiet satisfaction of taking my first real step away from something toxic. At Maya's apartment, she opened the door in pajamas and a messy bun. So what did the idiot do this time? I handed her my overnight bag and sighed. He told me I didn't need to know who he was with. Maya froze mid-step. Wait, what? Yeah, I said calmly, sitting on her couch. That was his way of saying it's over. She stared at me for a beat, then shook her head. Hazel. I swear, men think emotional maturity is a Wi-Fi signal. They only get it when it benefits them. I smiled faintly. You're not wrong. But inside, it wasn't humor that settled in my chest. It was resolve. Over the next few days, David texted again. So you're just going to ignore me now? Wow, dramatic much. I thought we were taking space, not ending things. I didn't reply. Every message he sent revealed more of who he was, not remorseful, just irritated that I was no longer orbiting around him. He wanted control, not connection. Maya noticed me scrolling through the unread messages one night and snatched my phone from my hand. Do not feed the ego, she warned. He's fishing for power, not closure. I laughed softly. I wasn't going to respond. Good, she said, tossing the phone onto the couch, because silence is the one language they can't manipulate. That weekend, I did something simple but freeing. I changed my phone background. It had been a picture of us at the beach, David, with his arm around me, squinting against the sun. Now it was just a photo I'd taken months ago of a sunrise over the city. No faces, just light. That's what I wanted from now on, light, even if it was lonely. 3 days later, I came home from work to find a cardboard box at Maya's doorstep. My heart thudded when I saw David's handwriting scrawled across it. Inside were the things I'd left behind: a book, a sweatshirt, my hairbrush, and one of his old hoodies I used to sleep in. There was a note taped to the top. Didn't realize you'd move out for real. Guess you were done after all. No signature, no sorry. Just ego disguised as nonchalance. I folded the note and dropped it straight into the trash. Maya peered over my shoulder. What was that nothing worth reading twice? I said, walking past her. That night I opened my laptop and started a list titled Things I Forgot I Loved. Cooking new recipes, reading before bed, walking without checking my phone every 5 minutes, sleeping through the night without anxiety over what version of him I'd wake up to. For the first time in months, I was rediscovering who I was when I wasn't shrinking to fit someone else's comfort zone. But peace, as I was learning, always tempts chaos back in. A week after the box arrived, David texted again. This time the tone was different. Hazel, you're overreacting. We said we were on a break. You're acting like I cheated. I just needed time. Don't make this bigger than it is. I still care about you. I read each one, then set the phone face down again. Caring wasn't what you did at 2:00 a.m. when you sent a message like that. That night, Maya found me staring at the ceiling. You're thinking about replying, aren't you? No, I said softly. I'm thinking about how peaceful it is not to. She smiled. That's healing talking. Over the next week, his messages came like clockwork. Every few days, another attempt, each one more defensive than the last. So what you're punishing me now? You used to say we could work through anything. I guess that was a lie too, huh? But with every message I ignored, his power slipped a little more. He couldn't stand being irrelevant. The last one came late on a Sunday night. Fine. Do whatever you want. You'll regret this when you realize no one else will ever care about you like I did. For a moment, I just stared at it. Then, to my own surprise, I laughed. Because he was right, no one else would ever care about me like that. And that was exactly what I wanted. The next morning, I deleted his number. Not blocked, not muted, just erased. It wasn't about revenge, it was about release. David had wanted space, and I was finally giving it to him, the kind that doesn't come with a return date. As I left for work that morning, the city felt different. The air was crisp, the sky brighter. I caught my reflection in the glass door of my office building, the same face but lighter somehow. My voiceover, if this were a film, would have said he wanted freedom. So did I. The only difference was I knew how to live with it. And that's when I realized closure doesn't come from their apology. It comes the moment you stop waiting for one. 2 weeks passed. I hadn't heard David's voice once, but that didn't mean he was gone. Every few days, his number appeared on my screen first as texts, then as voicemails. The first voicemail was almost casual, like he was pretending nothing had changed. Hey, I saw your stuff's gone from the apartment. You didn't have to be dramatic, Em. I was going to come get my things this weekend. I didn't respond. The second voicemail came 2 days later, sharper. So you're really ignoring me now. That's mature. You can't even have a conversation. Again, silence. By the third, his voice cracked. I didn't mean it like that, okay? It wasn't serious. I just needed time to figure things out. You can't just erase me like this. Please call me. Maya listened with me on speaker and made a face. Wow, he's spiraling. I shrugged. He's realizing space feels different when you're the only one in it. Maya leaned back on the couch, sipping her tea. He's not apologizing. He's auditioning for sympathy. That line stuck with me, auditioning for sympathy. Because that's exactly what it was. David didn't miss me. He missed being the center of someone's world. I started to find rhythm in my new life. I went to work, came home to Maya's tiny apartment, cooked dinner, while music played from her old speaker. Sometimes I'd catch myself humming. That hadn't happened in months. There's a specific kind of peace that comes after chaos, quiet, steady, unfamiliar, but beautiful. David used to tell me I was too comfortable with boredom, but I realized he didn't understand the difference between boredom and peace. He needed noise to feel alive. I just needed stillness to feel human. One Friday evening, I was scrolling through my feed when a photo popped up. David, at a bar, with a woman I didn't recognize. Her face was half cropped from the frame, but the caption said, "Enough new beginnings." My chest didn't ache, my hands didn't shake. I just stared for a second, then locked my phone and went back to chopping vegetables. Maya looked up from the couch. You saw it, didn't you? Yep. And nothing. I guess he found his next audience. She grinned. That's my girl. The next few weeks blurred together. Work kept me busy. My boss noticed I'd been more focused lately. Funny how much energy you gain when you stop trying to fix someone who doesn't want to be fixed. I started journaling again, taking long walks, even signed up for a pottery class with Maya on Sundays. Every small act felt like reclaiming a piece of myself. Then one night my phone lit up again. This time not with a voicemail, but a text. Hazel, I think I messed up. He's not who I thought he was. Can we just talk, please? I didn't reply. But later that night, curiosity got the better of me. I opened his social media profile. Everything had changed. The bar photo was gone. The new beginnings caption deleted. The woman Sophie, I later learned, had unfollowed him. He'd unfollowed her too. I almost laughed. David had been replaced, and suddenly he wanted me back. The next afternoon, he showed up outside my office. I spotted him through the glass doors, pacing phone in hand, looking lost. My stomach turned, but not from nerves, from disbelief. I told the receptionist, if a man named David Moore asks for me, please tell him I'm in a meeting. She nodded, and I watched him through the reflection in the lobby window. He waited 20 minutes before leaving. That used to be my role, waiting, hoping, shrinking. Not anymore. An hour later, another text came. I'm sorry. I didn't realize how much I was hurting you. It wasn't serious with her. I just needed to clear my head. You know how things got between us. I stared at the message for a long time, and then it hit me. He still didn't get it. He thought this was about the other girl, about jealousy or revenge. But it never was. It was about respect, the quiet kind. The kind that keeps you from humiliating someone who trusted you. The kind he never gave me. That night I sat with Maya on the balcony sipping tea while the city buzzed below us. She glanced over. He texted again, didn't he? Yeah. What did he say? That he's sorry. That it wasn't serious. She raised an eyebrow. And I finally believe him. She frowned. You do? Yeah, I said with a soft smile. Because someone like that never takes anything seriously, not even love. Maya grinned. You're getting poetic now. Maybe I'm just finally free. A week later, another message came his last desperate reach. You'll regret this when you realize I was the best thing that ever happened to you. No one else will love you like I did. I didn't laugh this time, I just shook my head. Because that sentence, the one meant to hurt me, only confirmed what I already knew. I didn't need someone to love me like he did. I needed someone who could love me better. And for the first time, I realized I'd already found her in myself. It was raining the night David finally found the courage to show up. I'd just stepped out of the office umbrella in hand when I saw him standing across the street, soaked hair, plastered to his forehead, clutching his phone like it might save him. My pulse quickened, but not from longing. Just surprise. The kind you feel when a ghost suddenly decides to become flesh again. He spotted me, his expression flickering with relief. Hazel, he called out, jogging toward me. David, I said evenly, keeping my distance under the awning. You shouldn't be here. He gave a shaky laugh. I had to see you. You've been ignoring me for weeks. I wasn't ignoring you, I replied. I was listening to what you already said. He frowned. What's that supposed to mean? At 2 a.m, remember I met his gaze. When you told me I didn't need to know who you were with. His mouth tightened. You're still hung up on that. I blinked slowly. You said it like it meant nothing. It did mean nothing, he insisted, voice rising. I was angry. I thought you didn't care. You didn't even fight for us. I almost laughed. You wanted space. I gave it to you. What did you expect? A protest. He stepped closer, raindrops trailing down his jacket. I expected you to care, Hazel. To fight. You always used to. That word used to struck me as the most honest thing he'd said all night. I had used to fight. I'd fought for understanding, patience, forgiveness, until it felt like begging. Now I was done fighting for anyone who treated love like a test of endurance. I cared, I said quietly. I just stopped confusing caring with self-destruction. For a moment, the rain was the only sound between us. He exhaled hard, like trying to reset the tone. Sophie's gone, he said suddenly. It wasn't what I thought. She used me. I tilted my head. Used you, or just treated you the way you treated me. His eyes flashed. That's not fair. It's exactly fair. I said, my voice calm but firm. You handed me silence, dishonesty, distance, and now you're mad that someone handed the same back to you. He flinched, like my words were sharper than he expected. Hazel, please, he said softer now. I made a mistake. I thought I needed space, but what I really needed was you. I sighed. You didn't lose me because you needed space, David. You lost me because you filled that space with someone else. His expression faltered. Guilt realization, then defensiveness. I told you it wasn't serious. That's what makes it worse, I replied. You threw us away for something that didn't even matter. He opened his mouth to argue, but I stepped back, closing the umbrella. The rain began to soak my hair, cold and steady, grounding me in the moment. You know what's ironic, I said softly. You thought walking away would help you figure out who you are, but all it really did was show me who I am without you. Hazel, I'm not angry, I interrupted. I don't hate you. I just finally see you clearly. He looked like he wanted to reach for me, but stopped halfway, fingers curling uselessly at his side. So that's it, he asked quietly. After everything, you're just done. I nodded once. You threw it away, remember, at 2:07 a.m. His voice cracked. I was drunk. I didn't think you'd take it seriously. I let out a small, incredulous laugh. David, you told me I didn't need to know who you were with. You made it serious. He took a step forward. Please just hear me out. I have, I said, cutting him off. For 3 years, I heard every excuse, every almost apology, every reason you couldn't quite show up for me. I'm done listening. The streetlight flickered above us, bathing the rain in gold. His lips trembled frustration, twisting into desperation. You'll regret this someday, he snapped. When you realize no one will ever love you like I did. I looked him dead in the eye and said quietly, You're right. No one will. And that's exactly the point. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then I turned away, stepping into the rain, the city lights blurring into soft streaks of color around me. Behind me, I heard his voice break through the storm. You'll come back. You always do. But I didn't look back. Because this time he wasn't wrong about me coming back. He was wrong about who I'd come back to. Myself. That night I blocked his number, not out of spite, out of peace. Later, sitting on Maya's balcony with a mug of tea, I told her everything. She listened quietly, then smiled. You know what that sounds like. What closure? I smiled faintly. Maybe. Or maybe just freedom. She nudged my arm. Same thing, babe. I looked out at the glittering city below, alive, vast and different. and felt a kind of calm I hadn't known in years. David's words echoed faintly in my head, "No one will love you like I did," and for once I believed him. Because love that demands you shrink to fit it isn't love at all. And as the rain kept falling beyond the balcony, I realized the truest revenge I'd ever get was not anger, not payback, just peace. A month passed before I heard his name again. Not from him, from someone else. I was at a cafe near work when a familiar voice called out, "Hazel." I turned and saw Sarah, one of David's old friends. The kind who always stayed neutral, the kind who quietly noticed more than she ever said. "Wow," she said, setting her latte down. "You look peaceful. That's new." I laughed softly. "Thanks, I think." She smiled, but leaned closer. "You probably don't care, but David's kind of a mess right now." I didn't reply, just raised an eyebrow, waiting. She hesitated, then lowered her voice. Apparently that girl Sophie wasn't single. She had a boyfriend the whole time. David didn't know until the guy confronted him. It got ugly. I stirred my coffee slowly. "I'm not surprised." Sarah nodded. "He's been trying to save face, saying it was casual, but everyone knows he caught feelings." I could almost see it, David replaying every choice, every text, every late-night moment, where he thought he was in control, only to realize he was the disposable one this time. It didn't make me happy. It didn't make me sad either. It just confirmed that I'd done the right thing by walking away. "Anyway," Sarah added, "he keeps asking about you." I smiled. "Tell him I'm doing great. But don't tell him where." She grinned. Message received. That weekend, Maya and I celebrated her promotion with champagne on the balcony. The night was warm, full of music from nearby bars, laughter floating through the city air. She leaned over the railing and said, "You know, I used to worry you'd take him back." I tilted my glass. "Me too." "So what changed?" I thought for a moment. I stopped confusing missing someone with wanting them back. She smiled. "That's growth." I nodded. "No, that's freedom." A few days later, a message appeared from an unknown number. "I just want to talk. Please don't block me right away." I didn't have to ask who it was. Then another came in. "Hazel, I miss you. I know I screwed up. You didn't deserve that. I thought I needed space, but I was wrong. I thought she cared about me. She didn't. I see now what I lost." I stared at the words for a long moment, then set the phone down. The irony wasn't lost on me. The apology I'd once begged for was finally here, delivered far too late. But closure is never about hearing "I'm sorry." It's about realizing you don't need to anymore. So I didn't reply. By midnight, another message came. "If you're seeing someone else, just tell me. I can handle it. I just need closure." That one made me smile faintly, because I wasn't seeing anyone and I didn't need to be. For the first time in years, I was comfortable being enough for myself. The next morning he called. Against my better judgment, I answered. "Hey," I said, voice steady. There was a pause. "You picked up." "I did," I replied. "What do you need, David?" He hesitated. "I can't stop thinking about you. I can't sleep. I can't focus. I just need to see you." I sighed softly. "You know what's strange? You say that now, but when you had me, you couldn't even look me in the eye." "That's not fair." "It's fair," I interrupted. "You told me I didn't need to know who you were with. That wasn't confusion, David. That was cruelty. And now you want to pretend it was all a mistake because she left." He was silent for a beat, then his tone shifted sharp and defensive. "People make mistakes, okay? You think you're so perfect. The difference is, I said evenly, when I hurt someone, I take responsibility. You justify it." "Hazel, goodbye, David." "Wait," his voice cracked. "So you're really done? Like completely?" "Completely." He exhaled hard. "You'll regret this someday. When you realize nobody will ever love you like I did." I smiled even though he couldn't see it. "You're right. No one will. And that's exactly the point." Then I hung up. Months passed. Work got busier. Life got brighter. I started painting again, went hiking on weekends, even traveled solo for the first time. For once, my story wasn't about what someone did to me. It was about what I chose to become after. Then, one evening, the universe gave me a final test. I was at a friend's birthday dinner, a cozy restaurant filled with laughter and warm light, when I heard a voice behind me. "Hazel." I turned. David stood there holding a glass of wine, looking smaller somehow. Not physically, but in presence. "Hey," he said awkwardly. "You look good." "Thanks," I replied. "You too." He gestured toward the table of people I was with, coworkers, friends, new faces. "You seem happy." "I am," I said simply. He hesitated. "Guess you really did move on." I met his eyes, calm and steady. "I moved on the night you said I didn't need to know who you were with." His smile faltered. "Take care, David," I added gently, and turned back to my table. My friends didn't even notice the moment. They were laughing, telling stories, living in the now, and I realized that's where I belong too. Later, walking out under the soft glow of the city lights, I felt the breeze brush against my face and thought of how far I'd come. David hadn't just lost me, he'd lost access to the version of me that tolerated less than she deserved. The break he wanted, it lasted forever. And I finally understood that peace isn't found in closure from someone else. It's found in loving yourself